I want you to be completely honest with me. I'm going to share with you today three different problems that I hear from women when they're trying to sell themselves, when they're trying to get more clients. I'm going to share these with you because I am the biggest believer that you should not have to try to sell yourself, that you should be able to get your story across in a way that makes people want to work with you. I'm going to share with you the three problems that I see the most, and all three of them we're going to resolve by the end of this training. So, the first one I'm hearing all the time that is that people feel like the way they express who they are, what they do, how they actually help people sounds so generic. Everyone's offering the same thing. I hear it all the time. The amount of women that say to me, "Oh, there's so many women doing what I do." Trust me, if that is the case, you definitely need my help today because I'm going to solve that for you. The second one that a lot of people go through is that they've tried to not be generic. And then what they end up doing is that they sound really confusing. They're not able to express who they are because they just try to babble on, try to explain themselves too in depth, and it just makes it more confusing than it needs to be. And then the third thing is that I think a lot of people fall into this category that they feel like they're selling themselves and they have to push themselves and they have to push people to buy from them. And this is definitely not something that anyone should be doing. By the end of this training, I'm going to show you how that does not have to be the way you actually get clients in the future. My name is Caroline Blinska, and I'm an authority and an automation expert. I have been working in this industry for over 20 years, and I can tell you something that I've learned in the last more than 20 years is that most women do not have a marketing problem. They actually have a positioning problem, and that means that they don't know how to tell the correct story to get in front of the people that they really want to get in front of. By the end of this workshop, you're going to have clarity on what makes you different. You'll understand how to be the authority in your space, and you'll never have to try to convince anyone again that you're worth the money. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. I've been working with my clients for over a year on this whole strategy, and this is the first time that I've put it together as an actual workshop. So let's get into what it is. You can download from the description area. You can download the actual checklist and work along with me as well, or you can just follow through on the actual screen. But I want you to be taking notes, write down everything that we're going to go through because this is going to make the biggest difference that you've probably ever expected in your business. I can give you a really good example. I worked with a client not that long ago. She's been a therapist for over 30 years. And I went through this whole genius zone with her. And she was absolutely blown away because she was going from one on one into group practice, slightly changing her business. And she was blown away with the sorts of things that she learned from going through this training. And I hear that a lot from all of my clients, but her specifically, even I didn't expect that sort of amazing results because I really thought that she had such a good idea of who she was. But there are some particular questions that I'm going to take you through that are really going to blow your mind and make you really think differently about who you are and who you help. So let's get into it. So, as I said, we're going to talk about your life's journey. We're going to talk about your people, your audience, and your skill set. The first thing we're going to talk about in section one is your life's journey. So I want you to go through all of these. I'm not going to spend time waiting for you to answer the questions. Just pause and answer the questions yourself, have a piece of paper or write little notes down. So the first thing I want you to think about, you've got to think about what have you lived, learned, and overcome? That is your journey. So what experiences have shaped you for who you are today? Then what challenges have you had to navigate personally or professionally? What have you had to rebuild, recover from, or figure out the hard way? Sometimes just taking notes here, just start brain dumping everything because sometimes those things that you didn't even think about, maybe it's something that happened 20 years before you actually went through your career, like into the career that you're in now. Sometimes it's not something to do with what you're doing right this moment. It's the journey. So think back, might be something from your childhood. More questions that I want you to think about. What do you understand because you have lived it, not just studied it? What turning point changed the direction of your life or work? What did you once struggle with that now feels natural to you? What truth do you wish someone had told you 5 or 10 years ago? We're still talking about life journey here. What part of your story are you finally ready to speak about? This is one that a lot of women, when they come to me, is one where we really dive deep on because that's sometimes the area where we can take your current studies, your current career, the current business that you have, and we can look back and think, hang on a second, there's something we can bring into this story, into this journey. What do people often say is inspiring, unusual, or powerful about your journey? Which experiences have given you a perspective other people may not have? Then what I want you to do, I want you to write everything down and then I want you to go through those particular questions on your piece of paper or in your documents. And I want you to think about what are the three themes that appear most often. Maybe there's something about divorce in there. Maybe there's a lot about that. Maybe there's a lot about trauma. Maybe there's a lot of things around pets that you love, and maybe pet healing has something to do with what your journey is all about. So just look back over everything you've written. The more notes you took, the more things you're going to pull out of there. And maybe at this stage, you might want to go back now and write down some more details in those questions. Once you've done that and you've got your three themes, then I want you to complete this sentence. Because I have lived through whatever I've lived through, I understand something in a way that most people do not. So, because I have lived through divorce, I understand what it means to look after myself in ways that other people do not. There's many different directions this can go in, but really think that through. Section two, your skill set. What are you exceptionally good at? So, this is not just about the course that you've done. This is so much deeper than that. What do people naturally come to you for help with? What can you see, solve, or simplify faster than most people? What feels obvious to you but difficult to others? What have you been paid to do? What qualifications, training, or professional experience do you have? What results have you helped other people achieve? What problems do you genuinely enjoy solving? What could you teach without needing weeks to prepare? More questions around your skill set. What conversations could you have all day? You know, those days when you've worked with someone and you feel so drained because you didn't want to be talking about that subject? This is a really good one to think about. What part of your work gives you energy instead of draining you? What do clients regularly thank you for? What do people describe as your gift? I actually went through this question myself and I actually reached out to a whole group of my friends, my girlfriends, and I just said, hey, what do you think my gift is if you're not sure for yourself? Go and reach out to your friends, send them an email and just ask them a couple of these questions. You know, what do you think my gift is? Is there anything special about me? Is there something that you notice that I can do that you haven't seen other people do? Send an email to a couple of your friends. You'll be amazed with the sort of answers that you get back. Now, what I want you to do in this section in your skill set, circle the three strongest skills. You might keep on seeing over and over that you're empathetic. You might see over and over that you're really good at working with children. You might be seeing something that you're really good at connecting the dots in certain ways. Whatever that is, write it down here. Now I want you to complete this sentence. I am at my best when I'm helping someone with whatever it might be by using my ability to whatever that might be. So fill that in based on what you've just answered above. Your people, who are you uniquely equipped to help? So these are the people that are not just women who have had a baby, it's so much deeper than that. What do you understand deeply? Which type of client do you enjoy working with the most? Who is currently experiencing a problem you know how to solve? What are they tired of trying? So I've got a lot more training around once we actually understand who your people are and we go into these in much, much, much more detailed ways. I've got this 10-10-10 where we talk about their deepest desires, we talk about their dreams, we talk about their pain points. But at the moment, what I want you to do is really understand who your client is. So, for example, and I don't want to give too many examples because I really want you to think for yourself about your particular business. But let's say I've got a client she works with mums who have had a baby. And for a long time, she was helping mums that had had a baby and they were all in their 20s. She did that because she was in her 20s. She was working with these women in their 20s, and they were all going through that journey together. She's now in a situation, she's just turned 40, and her children are already teenagers. And she realized that she had slowly gone off this path away from her particular audience into a different audience just because of her own situation. But then she thought back over it and she's like, hang on a second. While I've had all these women following me, they've all gone through their 20s and their 30s and their 40s. These clients have still been with her this whole time. But what's happened is that means that the women that are actually having the babies are actually younger. Generally, I was an old mum, so I'm not going to say there's everyone's young. But generally, what happens is that women are a bit younger than what this particular client was. And so, what she realized was that she had to go back to the drawing board because the people she loved working with were those women that were in their 20s, early 30s, who were having babies and wanted to go through this experience from the time when their babies were young. So, you need to think about your situation. I had another client of mine recently, and she was telling me that she helps people with things like ADHD. And she wanted to work with people who were, just to be broad, people with less money, less financial ability. But the problem was that she's in a position where she needs to make money too. So while you might want to be in a position to help people that have got less money and are not able to pay for your services, you really need to do a balancing act there. So I really need you to think about what is that problem that you're solving. Now, for something like that, I've actually had a few women, especially if you're a therapist, it comes up quite a lot that when you become a therapist or some sort of life coach, health coach, wellness coach, you want to help people. So when you want to help people, you tend to be the person who goes out of your way and helps people that don't have money. Now, I'm the same. So I've created where I've got certain people that I help every year. I've got a special application form and a fund where people can come in and they can work with me at a very low price. And then I help them because I want to be able to do that. But then at the same time, one thing you need to understand is helping people that don't have money means that if they haven't put money to invest into you, then they haven't invested themselves in, and that can also create a problem. So at this stage, I really want you to think about the whoever you're thinking of who you want to help, really think through, is that person able to pay you? Because the idea of what we're doing today is that we want to put you in a position where you're no longer having to convince people that you're worth the money. So that's a very important note that I want to make. Okay, your people, more questions. What frustrates them most about their current situation? What are they afraid will happen if nothing changes? This is a big one because this is really that turning point of, if I stay like this, if I need to lose weight, for example, and I keep on going down this path of not changing my situation and I don't lose weight, what is the suffering of that? It's like you watching this right now. What will be the problem if nothing changes in your marketing? If you continue doing what you've always done, what are you afraid of happening? Next question. What do they secretly want, but they might not say aloud? What results are they actively willing to invest in? So that's a really interesting one because when you're looking at going through this training with me, you're not wanting to become a marketing expert. That's not what you're trying to do. You're not trying to become a big influencer on social media. That's not what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is become in a situation, there's a few different ones. So I'm just going to give you some broad outlines. You want to be in a situation where your message is so clear that people want to work with you and it's not confusing and you're not having to push yourself and sell yourself and having to dance on TikTok to try to get clients. So you need to think about, what are these people actively willing to invest in? Next one, your people. What language do they use to describe their problem? This is something that a lot of people get wrong because a lot of therapists get into the therapy talk. A lot of wellness professionals, when you've gone through your coaching, you get into the technical words, but it's usually not the technical words that you need to think about. So I really want you to think about, what language do they use to describe their problem? What have they already tried but has not worked for them? What would make them say, this is exactly what I need? Why would they trust you to help them? So I want you to write down all these things. Now, why would they trust you to help them? You're going to have referrals that you can show. You're going to have case studies. You might be in a position where you can't share actual clients that you've worked with. That's fine. That's not a problem. But you can show examples of case studies as well. So there's different ways, or you can show diagrams and information about what you do to let people know they go from here, they go to there. And that builds trust. It makes them know that you know what you're talking about. Now, what I want you to do with that information, describe who your people are. I help who that person is. It's a woman who is over the age of 25, and then who are struggling with what are they actually struggling with? What is the problem that they have? In the case of you, you don't have a marketing problem, you have a problem with not getting clients. As for the mums that I'm talking about with this particular client who helps mums with their fitness, they don't have a problem with fitness. They have a problem with strength. They have a problem with feeling good about themselves. So think about what they're actually struggling with. And they want to, what do they want to do? So they can finally, what do they want to achieve? So write down all of those points. And I showed you at the beginning, I'm going to show you it again now. This is what I want you to understand. It's this diagram where it's your life journey, your skill set, your audience, who are your people. And then you can see by combining all of those, you're going to work out between your skill set and your life journey that decides what your passion is. You understand more about your passion there. Your life journey and your people, that's your mission. What's your mission? What are you on the mission to achieve? And then your people and your skill set create your profit. And this is why you create your genius zone. This is the thing that makes you stand out, makes you different, makes everyone else. They can do whatever they want. They can sell whatever they want. They can be whatever price they want to be. But your genius zone is what sets you apart from everyone else. So in section 4, I want you to connect the dots. Now, I want you to go through those 3 sections and you're going to look for repeated words, themes, problems, desires, and your life journey tells you why you care. And your skill set tells you how you help. And your people tell you who needs it and what they want. So I just want you to write some notes there as well at this stage. And then I want you to get into what your genius zone is. Complete this statement. I use my experience with, what's your experience? And my ability to, what's your ability? And my ability to make people feel good. My ability to make people feel strong. My ability to get people to focus on the fact that they need to do certain things to get fit. And then you want to say, to help, what do you want to help them achieve? To help them do what? To achieve what? What is their goal? Now, once you filled in those, now you can actually get down. So this is the thing that people say, how do I fill out this line? I help specific people move from problem to desired result through your distinct method, experience, approach. So how do you fill that out? It's everything we've just spoken about. You go back through and you work on all of that. So I want you to think that through, fill in the blanks along the way and put your draft in there. Now, I hope you've been pausing along the way and filling out all of this. Either download my document and fill in all the sections on that, or you're going to write it down on a piece of paper. But now, what I want you to do is now that you've written that part there, I help specific people move from current problem to desired result through your distinct method, experience, and approach. Now, I want you to go through the test and see if it's memorable. And this is the most important part. So read back your statement and check. Is it clear who I help? So it's not women. It's not mums. It's got to be more specific like that than that. Is the problem specific? Do you have a specific problem that you help them with? Not weight loss. It's not helping them with ADHD symptoms. It's not helping them with compulsive disorders. It's something much more specific than that. Is the result meaningful? Is it something that's going to stand out? Is it something that's going to make them say, wow, I need that? Does it sound different from everyone else in my industry? If you've gone through all of those steps and written down an answer to every single question, you should have something that sounds really different. Does it connect to my real experience? Don't be fake here. Don't make things up. Don't do anything that doesn't make you feel good and doesn't sound authentically you, because otherwise you're never going to be able to explain yourself properly and you're always going to be selling something that you don't really believe in. Does it reflect what I genuinely do well? So think about, is it genuine? Are you authentic at this stage? Would someone know when to recommend me? So if they see that statement, is that going to make them say, aha, I know women in that, or I know people like that? Or do they say, oh, I wonder who I would ever tell that to? Um, could a podcast host immediately see the conversations I could bring? I'm going to explain that one in a second. Could a potential client understand why they should choose me? Does this feel true, not just clever? If you can't tick at least 7 of those boxes, you need to go back and work on your angle. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these. I've got a podcast. I've had other podcasts in the past. I've had a lot of success in podcasting over the years. And I can tell you something that I can guarantee as a podcast host is that I get a lot of people. Just in the last couple of months, I've had over 200 people apply through this latest batch. Um, I go through the people that apply to be on my podcast, and I'm constantly skimming to see how well do these people stand out. And the reason for that, this is not about me being, it's not just about me being picky. There's a reason why I'm picky. The more someone stands out and can explain who they are easily, very quickly, it means that the people listening to my podcast will also understand that quickly. The last thing I want to do is have someone on my podcast that sounds confusing and no one actually understands exactly who that person is and what they offer. So, if you want to do podcasting as a way to get clients, it's an amazing way to get clients. Trust me, it's so, so good, because not only do you do the podcast once and you have it recorded, you can then go on to continue to promote that. You can snip bits out. Usually you'd leave the people's logo in the podcast that you have snipped, but you would take that and then you can post it anyway. You can keep posting it. You can put it into your emails, for example, and let people know, hey, I was on this podcast, listen to this because this is really relevant. And if you want to talk to me about how to create an amazing funnel that's automated, we can talk about that. But this is like I talk about how to create authority in your industry, and using podcasting is like one of the best ways to do that. And especially if you've been on someone else's podcast, use that to lever your authority. And that really comes down to the next one, which is, could a potential client understand why they should choose me? Because that comes hand in hand. If a podcast host can understand you, then a potential client can understand you as well. So, and then the biggest one, the last one is, does this feel true to me? Is this authentic to me? Or does it just sound clever? Because I've seen some of this before where people come to work with me and they have these really, really cool, crazy, clever ways of promoting themselves. And it sounds all like fancy on the outside. But then once you actually lay it down, it's like, what does that actually mean? Does that actually mean anything? Or is that even you? And then you speak to that person and they don't actually relate to that title because they've paid someone to create some beautiful tagline that actually doesn't relate to that person. So I think that's really, really important. Next, let's move on. Now that you've gone through all of that, I really want you to go through and realize your final genius zone statement. I am the person people should come to when they need help with, bang, what do they need help with? I want to be known for, what do you want to be known for? The result I help people create is, the perspective that makes my work different is, the sentence I want people to remember is. So go through and answer those questions now that you've been through everything. If at this stage you're still confused, just go back and start thinking through those questions again, especially with fresh eyes. You've gone through everything. And at this stage, you might go, aha, if I go back to the beginning again, maybe there's something I can add in there. And I do find that happens with my clients a lot, is that we get to this point and we go, hang on, well, let's go back and tweak things and we can adjust things. I've done that myself as well. So that is completely normal at this stage, that you think, I'm going to go back and just tweak things again. So you'll find a link on the page here where you can download this checklist and you can fill in all the blanks. I also have an opportunity where I have created a wizard, and this wizard is about my brain. I've taken all of this information and much, much more behind it, where I take all these particular triggers, And once you start filling in the questions, then you're going to have all these extra little triggers along the way because sharing this with you now, I'm not sure what business you're in. So I need to understand a little bit more about you. But if you want my brain, and you don't want to pay to work with me one on one at the moment, then at the moment I'm doing an offer where for $8 you can actually go and download my wizard. And that is the Genius Zone Wizard. And then you get all of these questions and much, much more background in there. You just download the wizard. And once you do that, it's completely yours. It's in your own chat. And you get to answer the questions. And then you find out what your Genius Zone is that way as well. So scan the QR code or download the link, and then you can go and find out more about how to get my brain without paying me for one-on-one. If you What I'd love you to do down below is fill in one of these questions and let me know in the comments what you think. So one of them or all of them, I'm the person people come to when they need help with. What's that answer? I want to be known for. What do you want to be known for? The result I help people create is, let us know. The perspective that makes my work different is, the sentence I want people to remember is. Please like and subscribe. I'd love to know which trainings you want to see more of. And if you've got any questions, leave a comment below because I'd love to hear from you. And YouTube believes that you'll like this video next.